What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the In the Round podcast. It's your boy, Matt Burrill. We are in the luxurious DM Monday Studios here in Music Row, Nashville, Tennessee, right in the heart of all the good stuff. And today, a very special episode, I believe, at 94. And we have got my boys, Josh and Ben. They run a site, it's a platform. It's really big on Instagram. You may have heard of it. It's called Country Central, and they're killing it. They're not even here in Nashville yet. They happen to come in for the week. It was Benji's, I believe, 5th time coming out here and Josh's first time coming out. So met him at Whiskey Jam the other night. Was like, fuck it, let's do a podcast, a little industry series, and introduce you to those guys. So great conversation, some hot takes, and we get the full story about how Country Central came to be and the two guys that have been a part of it since pretty much day one. So y'all stay tuned for that. Gotta tell you about our sponsors. Shout out to our man Mike Allen, MRL Music Group, Touring Logistics. They help you with tour support. They're booking shows all around the country, promoting them. Y'all be sure to check them out, MRLmusicgroup.com. Next, we got our friends at Saxman Studios, Grady and the boys over there in Mount Juliet. They do a great job, and they've got a great studio. A lot of friends working with them. If you're looking for a spot to record, hit up Grady and the folks at Saxman Studios. We also got Whaletale Media, Wales, Beezy, Gracie, the whole team. You're getting hitched, you're looking for something here in town, video, photo-wise, hit up the friends at Whaletale Media. And of course, last but certainly not least, our boy Mitch Wallace with the Digital Marketing Agency. Hit him up on IG for all your content needs. But we're going to get into it now. Great conversation. One of my favorite industry series episodes that we've gotten to do. Y'all stay tuned for this one. It's with Josh and with Ben from Country Central. This is the In the Round podcast. So boys, how the hell are we doing? Like, we're in Nashville, Tennessee. Y'all are visiting for the week. How's it been?
I think, fourth day?
You know, I don't even know. I can't keep track of it anymore. Like, we didn't even know what day it was. We keep forgetting what day it is.
The only reason I knew what day it was is because we were watching basketball. So I was like, I know the Mavs play on a Wednesday, and I got a rep for Texas tonight. Yeah. So, so it's been a blur, but Nashville's treating us well, so can't complain.
That's awesome. So, Ben, you've been out here before. Josh, this is your first time.
First time ever.
How did you describe it? Because we'll get into how you guys met and your stories and all of that stuff and Country Central and all that good shit. But how did you describe it to him? Like, dude, did you just say dude, you got to go to Nashville? Was it like you wanting to come out here? I'm guessing you probably did a little bit of a sales job.
Yeah, obviously. This is my 5th time here, so I just told him this is number one, just the one city, especially obviously for country music, that man, everything is very close to one another, and man, anywhere you go, there's something to do. There's never a lack of things to do, which is why last night was kind of a catch up on sleep night, and I catch up on sports. So I told him, hey, if I'm coming, I plan to come here regardless. This is gonna be your first time to roll, and we planned it out a couple months in advance, and we're here now, man. And it's everyone's amazing here. Has treated us super well. So it's working out so far.
Hell yeah! What's been your favorite part so far, Josh?
I'd say the ease of finding stuff to do. There's never not something to do.
Yeah.
Just walking down Broadway, it just felt like a cleaner version of what my college town was.
Tallahassee, right?
Tallahassee, because that would just it just reeked. Yeah. And just walking around, but even when we went on Broadway during the day, obviously it was a Sunday, so it was a little bit tamer. But even just going out at night, it was just a good environment. Everyone's just in a good mood. Everyone's just happy to talk to you, even if you've just met them. Yeah. So it was just been a nice environment overall. Everyone's just in a good mood, and it's just great music. Everywhere you go, it's not just gonna be I don't know what's playing on stage, right? I'm not really liking what's on stage right now, but it's everywhere you go, it's just good music.
Yeah, everybody is everybody's solid. Even the cover guys and girls that are on Broadway, because there is that kind of stigma around Broadway. There's people that say, I don't want to play Broadway because I don't want to get stuck on Broadway, but then Broadway teaches you how to be a performer, and you see folks that literally are working it to make their living on tips and all that. Do you have a favorite bar yet?
We haven't been in one for more than too long.
Oh, you've been doing the good hop.
I will claim for him. It's right here next door, Tin Roof. Okay. Best bar in Nashville.
Yeah, it is. Tin Roof is a vibe on the weeknights because there's always something going on, and then day drinking on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday at Tin Roof. It's Sunday.
I call it the Cheers of Nashville. It's your family here.
Is that where you watch the game? That's where we watch.
That's where we watch a game.
Yeah, and it's the oldest one. Like I had David Nail on here like a couple months ago, and he was talking about when Tin Roof first opened. And it's like now they've got tin roofs all over the country, but that original one is that little one on Demumbrian. Like that's where that whole tin roof kind of concept started. And to see it's been here since 2002, so 20 years of being on the same street where that street has changed over so much. So that's cool. So let's get into how you guys kind of met and how Country Central started, because there's like different pages. Obviously, I work in that media, country media kind of thing too, but also work with artists and touring and doing all that stuff. And I always am like, I wonder what Country Central is going to post today. I wonder what the hot takes are going to be. I wonder what the reviews are going to be of the songs that came out this week. And also like the throwback content you guys find, like the different, showing the streaming stats, like all the stuff that we don't, like I can see the artists that I work with stats on their Spotify for artists, but I don't think to go and look at everybody else's, and you guys put it all out there for a country fan like me to check out. So how did the idea come about, and how'd you all end up meeting up?
Because we can go chronologically.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So it was like post-pandemic, or not post-pandemic, it was the middle of it. So I graduated May 2020.
God bless. What a year to graduate. What a year to like be like, all right, time to
go out
to
the world. Yeah.
And by the way, the
You're
world
screwed.
is fucked. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I got to watch the dean or the president not even say my name on camera. That was really fun. 11 a.m. I'm just sitting there drinking a beer. My parents were like, congrats on graduating. They didn't even send me the gown, the company in which I ordered from. They're just like, oh, by the way,
They got shut down because of COVID, probably.
No, they still got their money. They're just like, we're just not gonna send it to you, by the way.
Jeez,
so thank you, Herf Jones, for that. But anyway, so yeah, I graduated. My degree is in physical therapy, athletic training, but I was gonna go into physical therapy, but it was just really hard to like do anything, especially because that's such an in-person thing. But I worked I did a lot of graphic design at Florida State. I worked for the Division of Student Affairs. I worked for the Health Services. So I was designing constantly, but I'd never taken a class in it. So basically, I started working for this like hip hop guy in Australia. So I would work every night from like 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. because they're 14 hours ahead.
Aussie time, baby.
Aussie time. He'd wake up and he's like, all right, let's get going. I'm like, it's 10 o'clock and I got to design some stuff for you. So basically, the hip hop world is just crazy online. It's just so cool how much stuff, like there's for every one Country Central, there's like a million rap pages. So it was really fun to learn through there. And I had a 6-month contract with him, and that ended. And near the end, I was just like, I was hungry. I wanted to post more graphics. I was finding like obscure magazine articles of my favorite artists, and I was like quoting them on really cool stuff, and I was designing stuff, and I would send it to him, and I think he just kind of lost his drive, so he just wasn't posting anything I was doing, but I was making like 4 or 5 graphics a day.
Jeez.
So I'm just like I want to start something new like this, but rap is so saturated, and I was like, I don't think there's anything like super graphic oriented for country music, and I also didn't really know too much about country music at the time, so I literally found the first handle available that sounded like good, and it just happened to be Country Central. It's like perfect alliteration too. I'm surprised it wasn't taken, but yeah, it started as an Instagram page, and I just made a goal to like, let me just try to curate news and bring it forward to just casuals like me, because it was really hard to like find news as someone who's trying to learn about country music. There was only a few places I was really able to find out about artists.
And it was all very much like the regurgitated kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like what you're seeing on one website is going to be very similar to what you're seeing on the other.
It'd be copy pasted often.
Like press release style of news reporting, where like there's no thinking involved. Like everyone is the same.
Yep.
But they're the only places that people know to go.
Yeah, because there's no editorial in there at all, and it's all being what's given to them, and like you said, not as much work or journalism involved.
Yeah.
It would be a paragraph saying like, Luke Combs announces new song, and that would be sentence 1 and 2 and 3, and then just be like 3 more paragraphs of like, his last song was this, his next song might be this is the last thing he did. It was just like so much just extra information. So I just kind of made an effort to try and make it as quick as possible, because in all my time studying graphic design, or because I used to do a lot of infographics, you have like 5 seconds to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
So, and especially on social media, I think it even cuts down to like 3. Like you have less time to get someone's attention than the short-term memory of a goldfish. So
really,
yeah, that's why even billboards are getting like quicker and straight to the point because
and they're flipping over what's on there, like the time that they're actually on the screen is going every few seconds.
yeah, you have such little time to gather someone's attention and then make them engage. So that was the whole goal, was just to keep it as streamlined as possible. Like, for example, if one of your favorite artists releases a new song, if you don't see it from their feed, like, you don't want to read a whole like 4-paragraph article about it. You just want to say like, oh wow, Luke Combs is dropping a new song, and you got that information in 2 seconds. And now you have the other 2 seconds of your short-term memory, like of the 5 seconds, to share it, save it, comment on it. So I think that's kind of like what the main starting point with it. And I did that for like, I was doing that for 6 months. I every day I would challenge myself to make a post, just like, and learn about it. So over this time, I got to learn about who all these artists were and who people actually liked and didn't like, because there is a really weird disconnect.
And what's like mainstream and like well known, and then what regular people are
I'd read something and it's like, there'd be an article about Kane Brown and it'd be really positive. I'm like, oh, cool. This guy must be really loved by most of the mainstream community. So I would make a post about it, and the comments would just be like bashing him. It's like, why do you guys hate him so much? I had to figure that out over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that for a while, and I kind of was losing steam a little bit, because I think something else is like, especially in social media and digital media, you need a bit of a personality in order for people to relate.
Yeah.
So one day I just keep seeing this dude in the comments, and he's just like, I'll post something about a song. He's like, oh, that's my favorite song. It was written by this person, and this person, and they actually also wrote this song, which is a great song. I'm like, dude, how do you know all this stuff? And it was this, all he had was a Bitmoji. So it's like this like emoji of a black guy with a cowboy hat on, and he just had a TBC for the Benji chord. I'm like, who is this dude? So I just reached out to him one day, and that was back in late May of 2020. And that's where he comes in. And that's since then, it's just been like, it's blown up since
I'm his
then.
country music encyclopedia, if you will. I mean, he knows about country. I mean, he likes like Tyler Childers of the world,
bluegrass, Appalachian.
So you're more in that Americana kind of.
I spent a lot of time in North Carolina, like hiking and solo hiking.
Yeah, you were telling me about that the other night.
So
as far as everything, I mean, like, yes, I can tell you random stats or facts about a song, how long it was, you know, at the top of the charts, things like that. And I think it was cool. I mean, I saw what Josh was doing. Obviously, it's like eye-catching, you know, like beautiful looking graphics, but it's like curated for every kind of country fan. And that obviously appealed to me because I feel like I love every style of country. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
even if you don't love it, you at least appreciate, you respect it. You respect everything, what someone's doing.
I just respect a well-written song. You know what I mean? So I saw that and I was like, hey, like, we can talk about Kane Brown, but we also can talk about Zach Bryan, Culture Wall, Morgan Wallen. We can touch upon everything curated for every style of country fan and give them that, you know, 3 seconds or less eye-catching news where they'll be like, oh, I actually know when my favorite artist is dropping music. I don't have to maybe pre-save everything. You know, that's what everyone sees these days. But like, they now know that, hey, like, this is what's coming out. This is my favorite artist. I'll know how well they're doing. I know that what I'm doing, like my fandom, my listening, it counts. Like, we just are able to share it, make it look great. And yeah, it's been a cool partnership working with him because I just get to put in just something that's a passion of mine. Like, I worked in country radio in Texas, and I've always been a fan of like the songwriters, what goes on behind the scenes, but also just, I mean, like I said before, every kind of country artist. So this has given me a platform to, you know, to talk about what I love about music. You know, the good, the bad, but I also love to let people know, like, this is what goes into it. So we spotlight songwriters, and they really appreciate that because they could always, you know, they always deserve more credit.
Absolutely.
And it's awesome just to see that, hey, like, we have a small little part where we can not only talk about our favorite artists, but we can also spotlight who's behind the scenes, all the work that goes into it, do maybe some tour footage that gives people insight to be like, oh, people all around the world, country fans, and they're able to see a little bit of that and say, oh, wow, I see how amazing Midland or Morgan Wallen is in concert. Hell, I'm going to buy a ticket to the U.S. Or I see like a Trey Lewis video, or we spotlight a random song off of like an upcoming release, and they're like, maybe I never saw that side of him. So it's really fun. It's been super collaborative as well. And yeah, it's Nashville's a very inviting place.
Yeah.
Very inviting environment.
Now, you're a Texas guy, right?
Yep.
So what's it like being involved? Because you have your feet, you're still living in Texas, but you're coming here and you have a presence here. What's it like? How different are the two scenes? Do you see them coming more together? Like, because there are a lot of Texas guys that come out here now and have their businesses here, like have part of their team here in Nashville. So, and Texas has like the fuck you, we're from Texas rock, like your Coetzels, Colby Coopers, your Dylan Wheelers, Giovanni, all those Pecos, all those guys. And then you have your more traditional guys, and then you have your more songwriter, and then you have your mainstream kind of guys.
Exactly.
So what is it like kind of being in part of both scenes?
I mean, for me, I just think that there's more, like I said before, there's space to collaborate.
Yeah.
There's overlap everywhere. Coetzel doesn't, I think he even said this himself, like he never intends to live here or move here. He will always come and visit, but he will always stay in Texas. But he has a place in Nashville. People, like you said, to your point, like he is definitely like more like alternative rock, but he has like a place in the scene of country music. And I just think that's all that we're seeing happening. Of course, there's Texas-based, but everything's like kind of blending together. It's becoming more of a melting pot where they all can have their place in Nashville. They don't necessarily have to say I'm a Nashville-based artist, or like for some fans like sell out to a certain sound. They can completely be their own. And it wasn't always like that. So
no, not
10
at
years
all.
ago, it'd be much more sharp difference where like I don't want to be associated with Nashville whatsoever.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, like everyone can kind of play together.
Where do you think the change started?
As far as
like who was the one that kicked the door down to be like being a Texas guy saying I fuck with Nashville?
Well, I mean, I know Cody Johnson was around. I know like
he's got the deal of all deals where he owns every single cent.
And he wasn't accepted. I mean, at least by like radio, he wasn't accepted initially, and they weren't giving the #1 singles because he was too cowboy. He would wear a hat that, like, if he lost the hat, maybe, and like that's nuts. But I don't know. I'd say it's maybe like the past like 5 years where you see like a shift where Texas country artists are now riding with people from Nashville. They're finding the common ground because people in Nashville love that style of music. Yeah. And we're also seeing, I think it's streaming. That is what's changed it. Streaming, the pandemic definitely sped it up, fast forwarded everything, because now I can be a fan of freaking bluegrass, but also I grew up listening to rock and roll. You know what I mean? So I love what Coetzel's doing. But I also love Cody Johnson's style Texas. Like, I would go to the rodeo every single year where I'm from in Houston. He would play every single year.
Yeah.
And so I love every style of it. And that's all it is. Like, I think everyone is open. They just don't know. People don't know where to look. And now with streaming being so big, they can listen to Coetzel working out. They can listen to Cody Johnson on, like, a long road trip. They can listen to Morgan Wallen when you're done with the bars and your girlfriend broke up with you or something like that. Yeah. And I think that's just been the whole melting pot dynamic, is the fact that streaming blew the door wide open. Artists can make a little more money doing things their own way. They don't have to say, my only path is a very Nashville style of music. And
having to cater to radio and having to go to this market. And there still is a lot of that,
still matters.
A lot of that going on and stuff. But I want to get back talking about the country touch stuff. So when did you guys start seeing like the growth? And like, I know it's more than just you two doing it right now. Like, you guys have like writers, you guys have like a team now. Like, when was the moment like, oh shit, this is snowballing into something pretty fucking cool?
So it's going to sound like insane that I do this, but I have recorded every single follower count on every single platform.
You love numbers.
You need a brand like that.
You need a guy that has the numbers, and you need a guy
that's the first thing I do every morning. Like, my morning routine, most people are like, wake up, do a little journaling or make a coffee. It's like, I got to get into the drive and I got to go into my spreadsheet and I have to count every single platform. Like, I just have to do it. So I can tell you the exact day that it all started.
When was it, the change?
It's been a lot as of late because, obviously, specifically on Instagram with Reels.
That's where I see the most. That's where I intake your content.
It's a different algorithm for Reels, different from posts. But I'd say probably when things started really coming together was November of 2021. I mean, it was always a slow growth. We've actually never had, specifically on Instagram, but on TikTok and other platforms, we've never had a net negative day in terms of like follower. Except for one time on Instagram, we had net follower gain of -1. And I was like, I got to delete the page.
He didn't make a Morgan Wallen post,
man. All
he
done.
He dropped the ball.
But yeah, I'd say it was around then where basically it's just about optimizing workflow. And we got to the point where it was just like we could turn news around really quick. And once we started really dedicating, and it wouldn't take me like an hour and a half to make a post. It takes me 8 minutes. And once we started really like giving responsibilities around where it's like, let's say Cody Johnson released a new song.
You're at a Miami Heat game.
I'm at a Miami Heat game or something, and it's just like it's come to the point where I don't have to be at the computer to make this graphic, but like he'll tweet it. We'll have someone write up a caption. We'll have someone attempt to make a graphic somewhere else and send it to me. And it's all just so streamlined. So once that all started coming together, mixing in with the resharing of video content from other people, I try to credit as much as I can. I just want to say that. But once we started doing that a lot, it's just like the growth started coming, and I think it just took a little bit of time for people to get comfortable with someone being like the face and personality, and especially when the reviews started coming in and people started seeing that, and they're being honest about how they feel. And even when people are like, your scores are too high, like they just defend it in the comments. And I love that, because we weren't changing for anything. I think when all that started coming together in like this giant like melting pot of, you know, the workflow, reviews, videos, it became a hub, and all of a sudden just started blowing up. And specifically on Instagram, but I mean even on TikTok, that like 50,000 followers there.
Yeah,
too.
That's not too shabby. That's pretty fucking
Yeah,
good.
like I think you brought up the point about just like traditional news publications. I mean, this became a hub where Trey Lewis can drop his new EP, Morgan Wallen dropped a double album, and we reviewed the entire thing. And I don't think when, like, say, just the Morgan Wallen one, when that came out, no one was doing like long form reviews. No one was doing like the deep dive anymore, because I don't think you really have to necessarily in this day and age with social media. But we did, and like fans would be, and like I would write my thoughts about it, and you could see a fan in the comments saying, "That's exactly how it made me feel too." And these people were from Sweden, people from Australia,
The
even,
unlimited
like, all around the
reach
world.
of social
It's
media.
incredible, and that's where you really saw it popping up. Because every single week, like I joke with him, country music's truly like the most, and not even in a bad way, it's like the most corporate almost genre, because it's like a 9 to 5 genre. Every single
We can
week
call it.
there's a big release. Every single week Friday there's going to be a big release from some artist that you know about, either album or song, and we are going to be somewhere where you can go to talk
Usually
about.
announced at 9 a.m., so it'll be 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll just be around the computer. I'm like, all right, who's posting right now? And also it's like Brian Kelly announced his new song. It's like, all right, here's a Brian Kelly. So that's what it is about corporate. It's almost comfortable that way.
I love it. I mean, I know there's always going to be some content to talk about, to spotlight for fans, and like I said before, every kind of fan, every style of country you like, we will talk about it. And you don't really have that anywhere else, I believe. So it's cool to have a hub where anyone can go to and say, "Hey, what's coming out on Friday?" And we're not doing anything new, not reinventing the wheel, but it's curated and it's convenient for people, and it catches your eye in 3 seconds, and they're saving it.
And the way you guys do the reviews, it's not, hey, go look at this article. It's, hey, look at this graphic and then swipe right and see the next one. It's very quick and accessible to look at the reviews, as opposed to having to go to another country website and scroll down a page. And it just, because how old are you guys? I'm 27. How old are you?
31.
I'm 24.
24. Okay, so we're all like part of that age where like we've seen the social media thing, and like you talked about the attention span, and it's just delivering that same message that's always kind of been there, but instead of looking like the editorial page of like the back page of a sports article, like the New York Post or the paper in Houston or paper in Miami or any of that stuff, it's like getting it all and just having it nice and easy. So
Absolutely.
the other thing I've noticed is you guys have made a lot of friends here in the country music world, both on the media side. Like I went to Whiskey Jam with Nikki T the other night, and we come over and we're hanging out with you guys, and fucking the king of country YouTube, Mr. Grady Smith, is over there. So how did that relationship and friendship come about?
So yeah, I remember,
Because he's another guy who kind of says it like it is. He's like you guys, where
I love that.
He says it like it is, which I respect.
so being so like distant from the whole country culture and world, like people would always say, "You see that new Grady video that dropped?" And I think that was in like early 2021. I'm just like, "Who's Grady Smith?"
Yeah.
And people are like, "What are you talking about?" So I think I started following his Instagram because that's where I base most of my operations out of. And he was doing like a thumbnail for like up and coming artists. I think he was talking about how he had to do some Photoshop magic and stuff. And I love that stuff. I love media. I love all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I messaged him about that. I just didn't open it. I'm like, dang, I guess I'm not cool enough for Grady Smith. But at one point, I think I tagged him in something and he shared it. He's like, "Oh, I love Country Central." I'm like, "We've never spoken, but that's awesome." So I think we just started talking a little bit. I think I finally got his attention through the DMs. And I guess him and I just started talking. I think one day he may have just tested the waters to see if we were like psychopaths or if we were like just normal dudes. So we had a little call with him, and I mean, we just clicked. It was great. It was great being able to to speak with him like that. So now we kind of have like a little frenemies thing going on where I took one of his thumbnail, I took his like profile picture and I warped his head to have like a giant forehead.
You don't fuck with a graphics guy because he will Photoshop something
this
or
guy's
change
dangerous.
it.
Don't get on his wrong side.
Don't get on Josh's wrong side. That's for sure.
And now Grady's crashing at our Airbnb right now.
Yeah, he's sleeping I woke up this morning and they're snoring on the couch. I'm like, I could put this on the Instagram story right now. So, I could just like take
to your
a video.
point though, that's like, the Nashville whole community. It's dude, to me at least, it's super welcoming. Like I've never, come across anyone that is just maybe even if they're having a bad day. Everyone's super inviting. I think the first time I came to the city was during the pandemic. So it was like 2020. Like it was an Easter weekend. I come up here and it was still kind of like we're getting not out of the pandemic, but like Nashville's kind of like bars are like we still want to exist and make money. I roll up and like I did my first night solo until some friends like showed up later in the week. But like I was just by myself and people were like, come hang out with us. What are you here for? Like, hey man, just love the music, just wanted to explore this city and like come chill with us. And like that was like my first exposure to Nashville. Super inviting community environment. And the funniest thing was I think I walked into Tootsie's on Broadway, like rocking my mask and everything. It's like like in Texas they care even less,
Yeah.
But I don't know how people are gonna act. I don't know how every city is. So, like I walk in with it and like just like obviously a bachelorette group walks up to me and my buddy and they're like, "Why are you wearing that?" I'm like, "Oh well, good to meet you." Number two, like, well, I don't really know you. I don't know. I'm gonna rub you the wrong way. I don't really know you that well. She's like, well, I'm a nurse and I'm not wearing it, so you can take it off. So like that was Nashville. Boom.
Yeah.
Let's live our lives and go. But it's super inviting, man. Great energy, and that's why I feel like. And I told him this a lot. I feel like country music's really having this like pop culture moment. It's always been relevant. Always had the most diehard fans, but right now it's definitely cool, to be country, to embrace it. And people are really discovering a lot of great artists, a lot of great music. There's a lot of ways to kind of put yourself out there nowadays.
Yeah, and to me, that's the people talk about streaming and Spotify. Some people, I mean, as a music consumer, you gotta love it because it's introduced us to so many different people and as like a guy that's worked with independent artists, it's helped us out a lot because we're not out there getting the radio play and stuff. But then you have the battle with like the songwriters and the royalties and all that. And for me, it's like the without streaming, music as a whole doesn't grow, but especially country music. Like we were talking about, like the fact that there's someone in Stockholm, Sweden, commenting on a Country Central post is like, and the fact that they're able to access that music that we're accessing. They don't have to be at a market.
20 years ago, what the hell? What could you do if you were an independent artist? Would you be heard in Sweden 20 years ago? I don't know. Maybe like one day if you mass shipped CDs.
If you're Texas, or if you're a Texas artist, or if you're like say a Tristan Merez or somebody like that, are you having some fans in Buffalo, New York? Are you going and doing shows around the country? Like it's grown everything so much. So how do you guys go about like curating and like deciding on stuff? Is it personal preference? Is it kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in the industry? Like how does that all work?
It's a bit of a mix. Obviously, there's a little battle that you have to do with social media algorithms, but I think people forget that it's just because something isn't working on the social media algorithm doesn't mean it's bad and to never post it again. So there will always be the tried and true things to post about. Morgan Wallen, Cody Johnson, Zach Bryan, surprising as of late.
He has grown the last
insane.
Few months.
Yeah.
It's you see a post about Zach Bryan, people are clicking on it.
Freaking out.
We've been very thankful that him or his management have sometimes shared some of our posts to his story, so it makes us feel like a lot more legitimate too. But so it's kind of a mixture of, for one, we always have like a series. I have a really dense content calendar in terms of what I know we can post to pose questions and increase community engagement, involvement. So like keep one, delete one, Spotify charts. We'll do a lot of questions like rank these tracks. We just did one on Tyler Childers for Purgatory. So we'll have that set out throughout the week. So we'll always have something to post even if there's no news. But when news comes around, it's kind of determining on if I was scrolling past this in my Instagram feed randomly, would I stop and would I look at this for a second? And is this artist, I wouldn't necessarily say relevant enough because that's I'd say disrespectful to artists that are coming up and everything, but it's pretty much a way of testing the waters with someone that's new and trying to organically push them in as well. So it'll always just be news, charts, quotes, and then our form of engagement. But then once in a while, there was one, Clayton Mullen. I think he just hit me up one day. I listened to the song, like, I feel like people would like this. And I posted it, and it did better than like when we posted about Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
And then we did it again. I'm like, okay, so this dude definitely is something that works. So that's where some of the curation comes from. But when in terms of like new music, we'll do new music tonight on Thursday. So anything that we know about, we'll post about.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you guys break it up between
Singles,
singles and projects.
And
like, I find out what's new from that. Like, I have my sources of like going around and like seeing if it's on this playlist or whatever. But I always now, Thursday nights, I look and see, what are the boys talking about?
We'll just do, if someone says like, hey, I got a new release coming out. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million followers or like 100, 150. I'll be like, Ben, add to the list, and then when Thursday comes around, I'll make sure I'll put as many as I can. If someone does a surprise release or they weren't added originally on the follow-up graphic, which we split into like 2, since there's obviously more that come out, we'll put anything that we missed there, and then we'll let people say, hey, what was your favorite release, and we'll throw it up on the stories. And if it's a small artist, and someone says this was my favorite release, put it up on the story, have a clip of the song. So that's where the curation is. It's very community driven. And I think that's just, it pays off because it's like people who engage with the content, if they have something to say, they're going to engage with something that they've said. Or if they know that their voice is being heard, they're just going to keep coming back and engaging. So it's just self-feeding.
Very organic. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it is just, it's always like, even if there's no news, we will always have something to post because it will always be polls or questions, and that's where the curation comes from. Right? So it's just community-driven curation essentially. So whatever people are talking about in the comments, we're always watching, and we're gonna. So someone will say like, "Oh, can you do a keep one, delete one for Kenny Chesney?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's do that." And they'll message me like, "Thank you so much for like doing that. It's really cool to see all the votes and stuff." So that's just how it is. It's just self-feeding. It's not too much like critical thinking.
Yeah. How many DMs do you guys get on a daily basis? How many are you up to now?
Here's the thing.
You're coming up on 6-figure followers. So
here's the thing. It's hard to track because I live on my phone, and if you message me, I'm probably gonna respond. And I've like, you know how the request thing sometimes would be like 99 plus. Yeah. I don't let it get above single digits because I'm always reading them. Even if it's just someone,
shit.
Yeah, if someone says like something to a hot take, like who would even say this? That's crazy. I'll open it and I'll respond to it. And start a little conversation, even if it's just that one time. Like one time we did Spotify Wrapped when that came out. Some people were talking about it, and we posted our own because it was like, hey, there's our Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, why not? Good content.
But then I was like, hey, we care about your Spotify Wrapped. Send us your Spotify Wrapped. And I opened every single message of everyone sending me their Spotify Wrapped because I just want to talk to these people. Like, they like, and people have even told me, they're like, I just like following because if I message you or you guys, I don't know who I'm talking to, but it's nice to hear someone respond to me. It's not just like we post something and disappear and we're not in the comments. We're there, we're talking, we're joking around in the comments. So I think that's what really helps it too. Like, and that's why the algorithms often favor us is because we're just
consistent engagement. It's super organic. It just like someone Josh mentioned, like he's learning from what regular people from all around the country love, and then boom, like we find out maybe a smaller artist actually has like a very diehard fan base, and we'll spotlight that person.
That happened with Connor Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the Connor. Yep. Yeah, someone hit me up because I was like, I don't know if you ever saw the story about that, but basically I started the hot take thing. It was just like on a white background, which is like our most popular series too.
Yes.
I think it's already like 20,000 views on that already, which is insane for a non-artist story engagement. So the first one was. This one guy that I'm friends with, he was like, he saw Connor Smith in New Jersey, I think, and he just submitted a hot take like Connor Smith is the next big thing. And I was pretty much posting anything at that point because I have to filter so much of the hot takes.
Yeah.
But someone said that, and I posted it, and it was funny how Connor Smith actually found it. He's like, he had this TikTok video where he's like, oh, I came across this country page, and he kind of like, he cropped it out because he was like, I think it was a little bit of shade there, but yeah, it was like Connor Smith is the next big thing, and he's like, "Oh, agree." And it was like 18% agree, and he was like
overwhelming. That's not happening.
But then over time, it's just like, especially with his EP dropping and his tour announcement and everything. Now it's like you see how much it shifted since I think August, where I'll do it every once in a while. I'll do like Connor Smith is the next big thing. Now it's at like 70% agree. Yeah. And it's really cool to see how people's minds have changed, especially as like we've gained more followers.
Well, then like I Hate Alabama comes out.
Like
a viral success has nothing to do with radio just yet, and like it just went like literally upside down as far as like now, we see it, we understand it, we like it, and that's just regular fans that are like, hey, like we may not be maybe that's not a country fan, but like, damn, we heard this song that the guy happened to release, and we went from maybe not knowing much about him to like a couple months later, boom, like we love what he's doing. We're excited for
to
what
where
he has going
we're
on.
going to go and see this Thomas Rhett show. We might not be huge on Thomas Rhett, but we're going to go watch Connor Smith and his band play for 30 minutes.
Streaming's huge in that in my mind. I think it gives
Streaming's
everyone
huge,
a place.
But people are fine. It could just be a random person that's following your page and they find Connor that way. And it's cool to be that part of the community, like be in it in that avenue to where you're getting to show new people. So Connor Smith, who else are some other ones? Like I saw you guys did the interview with Hardy, which was cool as fuck.
Oh yeah, that was awesome for me, just because like I think before I even got involved with this, I think I'm just a fan of all styles in country, even if it is kind of mainstream. And I know we all love to hate on bro country, but when I worked in radio, like we did like a Word to Floor Georgia Line show, and I mean, regardless what you think about them, like they put on like a rock show.
They do.
They have like old, young, like middle-aged people like dancing and rocking out in the crowd.
I've seen them like 8 times in my life. Maybe it's because I grew up in New York and was involved in that Jersey, New York, tri-state country scene, and that stuff is huge up there.
They
like,
love it,
there's
man.
certain acts that just sell really fucking well up there that don't carry as much weight around the country anymore. But if you don't have bro country, like again talking about some hot takes here, like if you don't have bro country, you don't have what Wallen and Hardy are doing right now.
You don't get them.
Wallen and Hardy to me are the extension of what FGL and those guys were doing.
Wrote it. I mean, and that's what kind of got me into Hardy was he wrote like all the song, like half Floor Georgia Lines, like not like second to last album they put out. I was like, who is this guy? Like I like the songs, and then I was like, I found out who the writer was. Then I saw he was doing his own thing, and then I also saw that he wrote half of Morgan Wallen's album.
Yep.
And like I worked a show with Morgan Wallen, and I was like, this guy Hardy, like I like every song that his name's on across different artists. And then boom, we dug in a little deeper there, and then you just saw, like to your point, the style of music that him and Wallen make. It is obviously has pop sensibility, but dude, like it's Joey Moy producing, right?
Yeah.
So it might as well just be like a pop rock song. And that to me, like I'm wearing freaking Motley Crue. Like I love 80s rock, I love 90s, mid 2000s, and then I also love country. And like for me, the best of both worlds is some sort of fusion of rock music and country music. That to me is my favorite style of music. And like these guys have now taken that blueprint and run with it.
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
it's
incredible success.
And it's continuing to come on from other artists because like. If you've been to an Aldine show, lots of pyro, lots of rock.
Yes.
You go to a Brantley Gilbert show, lots of pyro, lots of rock. I mean, hell, you even go to a fucking Tim McGraw show. It's more rockin' than it was 20 years ago when he was in his prime. But it's like it's cool to see because I was one of those guys that hated on bro country, especially being up in New York and New Jersey where that's all we fucking really had. Like it was very much like. One of the like the first big album that like I saw or what was it? It was Anything Goes was a big one.
Here's to the Good Times.
Here's to the Good
Cruise
Times.
on,
That's
then
right.
Anything Goes. Yeah.
Because those albums are like when I started doing college radio. Like those were the big ones, and I remember seeing FGL sell out Madison Square Garden on a Tuesday night.
No.
Tuesday night they sold out fucking Madison Square Garden, and a country act selling out. 25,000-30,000.
It doesn't happen like that, man.
Yeah, and since then they kind of kicked the door down on that because Wallen did it back-to-back nights.
Yeah, and they made it wide open.
Combs did it
Luke
back-to-back
Combs came
nights.
in. So I mean, that's to me the beautiful thing. And then like obviously being able to speak to Hardy, it's like you can talk to him about about this style that you're able to run with, and like you can just hear him be passionate about kind of like you. I grew up really not listening to like a ton of country. Really, I'm like a rock and roll guy, but. My life, I grew up in like Mississippi, you know what I mean? And he could be like, there's something innate in him where he can write about the themes and then say, let me dress in my production in the music I love.
Yeah.
But now in 2022, there's a place for that more so in my opinion than ever before. There'll always be people that say that's not my style of country, but that has brought in so many more fans. And you're seeing it with like Jelly Roll today too.
Oh, dude, yeah, we just did a show with him on Saturday.
It's incredible,
and it
man.
is a experience.
I'm telling you.
It's really cool to see. Is there a style of country that you're not super big on? Like, is there a preference that you don't really like?
What do you not like?
Like, I'm not a huge poppy guy. Like, I respect what Mitchell Tenpenny and those guys do, but like, it's just not my Chris Lane. That's not my cup of tea.
If I'm being honest, I pretty much just only like Appalachian. I mean, I'll listen to contemporary, but like I just don't really listen to contemporary too much, and that encompasses like they'll mention a song on an album that I like listen to once or twice. I'm like, I did not save that. I did not save that song.
It ain't for me. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna trash it.
Yeah, there's no reason to trash it. But I was just curious.
No, there's like a lane. I mean, I think obviously we have our superstar Walker Hayes, right? I mean, he's a guy that's been around forever and ever. But like, it's just even like for me, like it's not even about not being country. Like, where's the guitars? Like, so like for me, like that's usually something I need actual instruments.
Yeah, I can't do just the production.
I can't just have like tracks the whole time. So I see why he's been successful, but to me, I'm like, obviously, I want to hear more instrumentation. I'm a guy that's always going to appreciate some traditional instrumentation in my music too, and that's a cool thing now is that you can have Walker Hayes and be like, that's not for me, or even like Dan and Shay, who I love those dudes.
Not my cup of tea at all.
But the vibe, I'm like, hey, it's for some audience somewhere that's into it. But damn, at the same time, I get my harder edge style country, I get my very traditional throwback style, then I get like freaking Texas country too. So like I'm the happiest camper ever. Like I just said, I'm 31. Like when I grew up, I would have to wait 4 years for artists to drop like maybe 10 songs. And maybe there'd be like filler on that 10-song album. Then they'd run away and record, and I'd never hear from them anytime. Now I have as much music as possible. I can curate my playlist exactly how I want to. Like I have very little complaints, in this day and age. I'm like the happiest fan, and I try to tell even the younger fans, I'm like, y'all should be happier than ever. You should have known how it was back then. It was rough.
You remember going to Walmart and Target and buying the fucking CD.
Jeez.
That's what I used to do. You remember that shit.
Yeah, my parents, man, they didn't know anything about explicit content, so I got to enjoy all of my Blink-182 albums growing up, man. I got to have a blast.
I had to buy the clean version every time. And then when I finally turned 13, because this was iTunes, my parents were like, oh, yeah, you can start buying the explicit. I'm like, why am I wasting another $1 for the exact same song? So it's like I Miss You clean from Blink-182 clean, and then explicit, and now that's all in my library. It became such a mess. But
that's hilarious. Two of each song.
The world has changed so much, but like I really do think this is the best time not only to be a creator of music, but to be a fan as well. Like it's you own your listening world. Like radio is still important, and I worked in radio, but it doesn't dictate what you listen to, right? So in my opinion, like you should be a happy camper.
They're looking at the streaming numbers just as much as you guys are.
There's a lot more research for them, than they used to have to deal with.
Yeah. Who are some artists you think people are sleeping on? Who are some people that you're like this one you think's going to pop? Like who are some people that our audience should be checking out?
If you looked in my hot take, the things that are
I was scrolling through some. I was going to bring some of those up.
I'm going to tell you right now, like 60 to 70% will just be Morgan Wallen is underrated. There was one that last night, just a real quick aside. There was one last night that was like, Morgan Wallen needs to drop another album or he's going to be irrelevant. And I'm just thinking, like, what planet did you just fly in from?
How the hell?
It's like, I'm like, irrelevant. Like, he's in the middle of like one of the largest tours.
Yeah, you can't get a Morgan Wallen ticket because there's no more available because they all sold out in the first fucking hour.
I got one for you. I mean, obviously, man, I love all styles of country. I mean, I grew up listening to like Tim McGraw, Kenny Chesney, Faith Hill too.
Tim was my first concert in like the third grade.
Dude, for me, like the best combo is just like the male, female, like melodies, and even when they wouldn't like have like a featuring someone, like you could hear. There's like some female background vocal in the background. Like it always sounded amazing to me. So there's so many awesome female artists doing today. I mean, you interviewed Megan Maroney the other week.
Yeah, she's become a good homie of ours.
Her current song is awesome, and I think her co-writer Mackenzie Carpenter just announced. Did she sign with someone today?
Yeah. Oh, we were just talking about how she signed with someone.
Yeah, she signed or
Warner. I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, but she has a new song coming out, and she wrote that.
And then you know who her brother is, right?
Yeah, he's like Connor Smith's guitarist.
Yeah, he plays in Connor Smith's band, and they're both signed at what is it, Major Bob or something? I forget what the publishing house is, but
she did just sign some.
But the two of them of like they're just an incredible brother sister writer duo, and it's like she's doing her artist thing, and then she would go out. I think she opened some shows for Connor, and Micah would pull double duty and play with her and play with him.
Yeah, I saw him at Whiskey Jam. That was the first time I got exposed to like all their Mackenzie's music, and I was like, obviously great voice, but like seeing that she also is like a really great songwriter.
Yeah,
that to me is what is very cool nowadays. Is that I know there's always been a case where you can come to Nashville to be a songwriter, and maybe a lot of these people never get anything else because they maybe were able to make a living. But I know it's kind of tougher these days for songwriters to get their fair due. So it's cool to see a lot of these really talented songwriters have an artist career as well, but it actually translates. A lot of songwriters are now very popular artists. In my mind, thank you to streaming. Like now they can put their music out there and people say, you should sing this song. Not just, you shouldn't be sending your best song to someone else. So like she's killing it, and that's how hard he was. Like he's a guy that now can just be his own entity, and it works really well. But Meg Maroney's killing it. Who else? There's a lot. I mean, Connor Smith obviously is the dude. We're really excited for him to be touring with McCollum and TR this summer. So like I think I really like his style of. Definitely, it's poppier, tinge country.
He's also, I'm sure, and again, I'm enjoying being able to make some takes right now with you boys here. I think in the summer, all country music tends to stream better. But his songs like "Learn From It" and "College Town" and all that stuff, like that, all those songs are gonna stream. Like he's gonna see an uptick. Like it's perfectly timed that he's on a big summer tour like that. Because all those songs are songs
everything falling in place. It's gonna be insane.
But I wrote about it too, though, because like I think his producer is Sam Hunt's producer, Zach Crowell. But like that was what differentiated it to me. Like it was very catchy, like melodic chorus, but I'm pretty sure with Connor Smith though, his production is much more real, like driving guitar sounds, like real drums, stuff like that. So like, I appreciated that they saw this kid like, hey, he's playing the college towns, and they do, for whatever reason nowadays, people love the rocking environment at a live show, and that's kind of the energy that he brings. Like so his whole crew, man, they're gonna, in my opinion, they're gonna do really special things in this town.
And they're so young.
They're great riders.
They're so young. Yep, Dylan.
Yeah,
Dylan.
He's the dude too. I'm really excited about his new music as well. He's a guy that same kind of thing. Like, he can just play a live show. He can be the opener, and people be like, "Oh, I left that show becoming a huge fan of him."
And he's writing some fucking hits. And
Got
he's been
that
writing
John Party
hits.
single right
I mean,
now.
that first. You guys are familiar with Noah Hicks too?
Yeah, love Noah.
So Noah's song "Raised on the Radio," that first one, they were used to write over Zoom together. Noah was up in Carrollton and Dylan was down in Statesboro, and it's like cool to see that whole crew come up, and like we're seeing it too with the Alabama folks, like Trey, seeing Ella Langley right now.
Yeah, she's killing it. She's doing the same kind of like rock style too, but she's doing it like as like a female artist, and like people love that style.
And the tour slots that she's been on, like you think about like Randy Hauser, Co Wetzel, which it takes a lot to be a female to open for Co Wetzel and to have that respect from her fan base.
Any of the crowd in your hand, like she could just like kind of run her own show, and people leave saying like, "Damn, let me go on Spotify, let me find out."
Have you been to a Co show?
He's playing. I haven't. Oh, actually, I did. I went in Austin, Texas, and his deal, man, like his fans, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah, they are wild, because I remember back when I was out with Muscadine, we did quite a few shows with Co, and I remember hearing, it didn't happen to them, but if you're opening for Co Wetzel and the fan, maybe this was like back in the Co and the Convicts days, but the fan base would chant Co fucking Wetzel while the opener was playing until the opener finished. If they didn't like the opener, they'd basically Co fucking Wetzel you off the stage. Jeez. So Ella has said that that's happened to her. So for me, that's like, that means she's doing well,
Exactly.
Which, granted, I mean, the Co Wetzel crowd around the country might be different than the Co Wetzel crowd in Stephenville, Texas. The East Texas crowd, they're diehards.
They will ride or die for him, and like you just would have no idea. I think the big thing was he actually has like his shirts, right? Like, fuck Co Wetzel on them, and like when I saw Hardy in Austin recently, like that was he was like wearing that shirt, and like his tour folks were wearing it, and like people on Instagram were like, "Do y'all have beef? Like, what's the deal?" Like, no, Co Wetzel designed that shirt. Like, that's like his personality. So it's cool. Like, Co Wetzel's fan base, man, they're like, they ride or die for him. They're very passionate, but also like he's built this own lane for himself. Where yes, he's signed to a major label, but I think like you mentioned before, some other artists like Cody Johnson, he owns his creative process and direction. Like he doesn't have to go to radio and still can have like, I think his song "Drunk Driving" like went gold, right?
Drunk Driving went gold. April Showers topped pretty much. It topped Apple top songs.
That's no radio. And like that to me is the coolest thing ever. So that means that he can still be like a rock focused guy, and people are going to sell out amphitheaters. That could never have happened 20, 30 years ago. So I think it's just such a cool thing for artists nowadays, man. You can be who you want to be, and some pocket of fans across the country are going to be in love with it. So you can be confident in like what you're making. Yeah.
Are you guys planning to go to a lot of shows this year? Have you guys? I know you've been out to quite a few already, but have you been to like a major like festival or gotten to see some of the guys and girls that you guys have talked about on the page?
I was at some weird radio thing because no one comes down to Miami.
Yeah, you're in a very, very tough market.
Yeah, no, I'm in the area where it's like if they're coming down to a radio show, and it's because they have to hit their quota for radio to keep supporting them.
Yeah.
So I was at that show. That's where I met up with Connor. But like they straight up put his they put his like set in like the parking lot, and I came in the other entrance. So by the time I got around to there, it was an acoustic set too. Like I didn't get to see him, and I was like, oh man, I came all the way for you. But I saw, I think who was there? Jamison Rogers was one of them.
So
Jimmy Allen and Jake Owen was the headliner. That was great. Jimmy Allen was way better than I expected live because he's just a performer.
Yeah.
And then there was another weird radio event where Zach Bryan came out, and I was like,
Zach Bryan at a radio event?
It was like a radio sponsored by Whiskey X.
Okay.
So it was some like whiskey brand thing, and it was down in like the Design District in Miami. And
what an interesting spot.
It was
for
like
Zach Bryan.
Here's the worst part, because it's just like, he's not like a small name by any means.
No, not at all.
So when we were there, I went with my friend, and she didn't even know who he was. And I'm like, I'll just buy your ticket. And they just hand you a glass, and you walk around. You could get free whiskey everywhere. And after about 2 glasses, I'm like, all right, I'm sick of whiskey and all these random flavors. So I'm just standing there waiting for the show to start. And they're playing his music around. They're playing a lot of cool songs. And Heading South came on. The crowd started chanting it, because most people that came out there weren't coming for like the random whiskey stuff. They're coming to see Zach Bryan on that small stage. And all of a sudden, the radio guy came out. And he's like, wow, I'm surprised you guys were like singing that song. This guy isn't really well known. But like in like dead serious, like that's how he opened. I'm like, why would you say that about your one act that you have come out? But he came out and he killed it. I mean, just to hear Revival, the 7-minute version of it, in which everyone gets a solo. Oh my God, that was insane. Like my friend who didn't care about him just left, and I was just standing there in the crowd alone. So that was probably my favorite one. And then of course when Thank You Big Loud
And Morgan Wallen
and to the Morgan Wallen show in San Antonio. That was actually one of
I felt like you were at freaking like Kiss back in the day or something.
It was insane. The production on that is insane.
I saw him here in Nashville at Bridgestone on St. Patty's Day, and then his first show back last year was the Auburn Rodeo, and Trey got to open for. We were first before it was us, John Langston, Parker McCollum, and Wallen, and it was Wallen's first one back, and it was. And
what
it's gotten,
show.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Absurd. And being on the touring side, like seeing what goes into all that stuff, I'm like, these motherfuckers bald.
I wanted him to see that concert, because it's like,
I love the logistics of it all. Like the fact that they're like the entire like production crew is like a city ahead.
Yeah. Because
they have to set up like all that, so they got all these trucks moving in. It's just like by the time they get to the arena, it could be 2 a.m. They're setting up. They're setting up because of how massive that show is and everything that goes into it. So I think that's the cool. I love the logistics and media side of it.
And regardless of what you think about him, as far as like what if you like the music or not, this is like a moment in time that it doesn't happen to a lot of artists across genres. So it's a really cool moment to see. Kind of even like what Trey Luce is like with his Acute single. Like you gotta just enjoy this while you can, because it's unreal. Like I've never seen anything like what Wallen's doing today. Like obviously like, Trey Luce's song to me too. Like just seeing that journey that can take you, and the doors it can open up for you for the whole genre, for a style of the genre. Yeah, it's cool.
Now I've got a hot take thought, because it's something again that I've noticed, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Who do you think is far right now? Because it's like before COVID, Combs was the guy.
Yeah.
COVID happens. Wallen has his shit. He comes out, is now the guy. Combs is getting ready to put out new music. They're both kind of on that trajectory of doing stadiums, arenas. Like they have that. They're getting fuck you money to play festivals. Like the big thing right now. Do you feel like there's kind of this arms race there? Do you feel, because they're different styles. They're both very authentic. Yeah. One crosses over more than the other. I mean, Luke did that stuff with Leon Bridges, and he's done kind of that
Wallen's
stuff.
Like put out like a pop song the other week. You know what I mean? So. I do think I think Combs already on the peak as far as like he's the radio darling. I mean, Wallen's gonna have number ones too, but Luke Combs, they're not gonna not give him a number one.
He hasn't put out a song that hasn't gone number one.
They won't allow it at this point though. He's now like their Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
But he's for radio. Wallen's a weird mix of both. So he's gonna have number one radio hits, and then just hits that the fans forced to become a hit, just streaming wise. So I won't say who's bigger. I don't know if I can argue that, but Wallen. I kind of like the place he's sitting at right now, because he has fuck you money from his radio hits, and then just the success. But he has fuck you money for, it doesn't matter if I'm on radio anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think the amount that he's getting per show, which we could talk about off mic, is just absurd. He's getting more than Luke Bryan was getting in his prime more than Aldine and even like George Strait and those guys. Like,
and he still won't buy a Tesla, dude. He'll just buy like a regular pickup truck, probably.
Yeah, he'll buy find that Silverado for sale, and do
I also
all that.
just like how his media team is
Very smart. Yeah.
not only that, it's just like the photography. David's fantastic, but even so, like everything that they're doing, it's just like it's so interesting to watch when he posts something on Instagram, because that's where I watch all like my like digital media success. It is insane. I'll check. I'll have a notification on. It's like Morgan Wallen just posted. I'll see it 33 seconds after he posted. 26,000 likes. I'm like, I would love to get 26,000 likes.
The engagement of how big he is.
And
But he's doing he's like kind of like it's I don't know if it's maybe like they do like a hip hop, like they just cut up like just a really nice high quality like a peek into this is what a show could be like.
It's almost a bit enigmatic in the sense where it's like you won't hear from him for like months, and when he does do something, it doesn't feel like gun to the head. Read this script about promoting your next single. It's kind of like, hey, by the way, bro, you need to talk about your song you're putting up. So he'll get on his own story, and it just seems authentic. And you almost feel like he's living just in the woods. And then his media team is like, I think
he is. Yeah,
he's living in the woods, and then his media team puts out some of the highest quality photos.
And video.
And then you won't see anything for like a week or two, and then it's like another round of high quality photos.
Yeah, and then it's like the recap of the
and
shows.
that just builds up that's why I really like about it. It's just it seems like mysterious at the same time. He also seems down to earth, and I think that's what fans come. So they'll obsess over that type of stuff. So I think in terms of like, I think Luke Combs just cemented, but I think Wallen is just like his ceiling. There's no set ceiling yet. Like it's still growing as his fame grows. So that's what I really like seeing about all that.
And I think I keep bringing up Trey, but like y'all do a good job of that too, where you put out like video content that will give fans even more than just the music to latch on. Like, damn, this guy's a hilarious dude.
Yeah.
So they love the humor part of it, but then like just the aesthetic when y'all release like a video that's like recapping tour as well.
Yeah.
It engages people and it comes off as like this is who they really are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I should probably get a ticket and see.
Hardy's team, Tanner does.
I think they crush it the most. Tanner's the GOAT, bro.
Tanner is my favorite, and I love Trey Bonner, who comes out with TL and with our crew. But like seeing what Tanner does, and the mixing in of the black and white and the drone flyover, and just it's clean.
That's the one time I geeked out when we met, because I don't really get starstruck.
You about the artist, he got starstruck by Tanner.
No, when we were on
Tanner, what's up?
No,
Tanner,
like literally when we got on the tour bus, I think like Hardy's like speaking to all of us and everything. I'm just like, oh, yo, what's up? I gotta set up this camera and everything. But then when I saw Tanner, I'm like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan of your work, because I am. I love the media side of it. So that was the one time I think I've actually like geeked out. I'm like, all right, Josh, you gotta calm down a little bit. Like these are all regular people, but no, his stuff is crazy. Like I wait for his next videos because of how well composed.
But that's another way of promotion, which is such a cool thing using social media, is that's a way to get you hyped on, like, instead of being on TikTok, which I don't think Hardy does shit on TikTok, but like they can put a clip of like a new single or like a piece of it, and like, it can be kind of blended in, mix in well with like a tour video, and people
sold
like,
out. Yeah,
is that a new song? Is that coming out soon? And like fans will get excited and keep rewatching like a Tanner cut video, and it's just like you have to be smart in pivoting in today's day and age to be ahead of the curve, in my opinion. So that's something that like their whole team, their label, does incredibly well. They're like very future focused, and they're looking forward to say, how can we be creative and promote our artists, all our artists, the ones that are coming up, like the Sean Stemleys of the world too. They've done a good job.
The
Ashley Craft, love Ashley Craft.
I was going to mention that when you were saying
she's
underrated,
an up-and-coming
artist.
Very underrated in my book.
I actually, like, it's hard for me to actually come back to listen to an album again, because I have my favorites I stick to, but Traveling Kind, I think that's the name.
Yeah, that's the name of the album. Leaving You Again, love that one.
No, the entire album. I'll just come back and find a new favorite song.
Can't Make It Past Georgia.
Make It Past Georgia I had on repeat, and that was right after, like, I have that song because it was around the time, I think Gunna released Pushing P, that whole album. So I have the song Pussy Power, and then right after that is Make It Past Georgia. And I listened to I listened to it in like, I have it in chronological order. So it's just like, she want to go viral. So you'll have that, and it's just Make It Past Georgia when the guitar riff comes down. Like,
I think Jonathan Singleton produced that for
her. So she's got one of those interesting deals where
it's not like a Joey Moy production, but it freaking works.
Yeah, well, it's Jonathan Singleton, which is another staple. He don't got that Nickelback cred, but he ain't no slouch.
Her album sounded perfect the way it was, and I mean she's definitely something in my mind that's up and coming. So like, I'm just really excited for a lot of the younger artists, 'cause they can do it all. They can write, they can produce even nowadays, and then they can sing on top of it. It just hasn't always been this way in Nashville. It would be like very talented singer that like, will find the best song for him, but now we got people that can do everything.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think it's really exciting for the whole genre.
Yeah. So speaking about exciting in the future, so you guys obviously the last like what? So you
Year and
started
a half,
year and a
November
half.
of 2020.
It's just been this explosion, and it just seems to keep growing and growing. What are the goals for here in the year 2022 as we go into summer?
I think it's just continuing to expand. We're definitely getting boots on the ground a lot more to actually meet with people, so we're not just some like shadowy figure that covers and knows every single person.
We're not CMT just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just continuing to build this like community-driven focus, continuing to adapt to any platform that we set our minds to. YouTube, we're going to start getting into more like actual, not necessarily opinion pieces, but more like video essays, like high produced videos. We're going to try to get as many interviews and meet as many artists as we can, give them the opportunity to do that hot take stuff. I think the hot takes are hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, continuing, we got the website coming soon. We got just a lot of events that we're trying to build up more, so we're not just known as an Instagram page. We want to be known as, like, when you think Country Central, it's because it is the center.
It's a platform.
It's a platform more so than it is just a presence on social media, and just for everyone to know that their voices can be heard.
Culture. Like, that's a culture thing.
Message me and I'm gonna respond. Like Country Central, you're gonna have it in your DMs saying like, "What are you talking about?" Like when you say some random hot take or something. Yeah. So I think that's the plan for the future. Is just the growth isn't stagnating at all. It's just always going to keep expanding.
I mean, people have joked like country's genre is like 5 years behind sometimes, but I feel like right now, I said pop culture moment, like to us, like Country Central is a culture. As I mentioned before, there's people in freaking Sweden, Australia that love country music, Norway that will reach out, and then it's a self kind of organic, self-building thing where like, everybody's opinions heard. Songwriters are able to be spotlighted. The songwriters that I love that people just may not know about. I think that they have a place where maybe you don't even have to become an artist. Like you can just you can post your own versions of the hit songs you've written. Yep. And there's going to be some group of fans that like love that version more than the hit version.
Put it out early, like what Ryan Hurd did back in the day with his
Ryan
stuff.
Hurd, and he did his version of like Luke Bryan's stuff. Yep. So we are a place not just for fans, but it's a community-driven deal there, but also with the artists. This is a melting pot, I've said before. There's a huge, very strong, like familial, community here in Nashville. And like we want to be a part of that where if I see like an up and coming younger artist or songwriter, and even songwriters that have been at it forever, I want them to know that they have a place. They have a platform, absolutely. And they obviously deserve more money, but we're gonna be there to say, y'all should know about your favorite artist songs. This person wrote like 10 of them. Yeah. You should know who they are. And then we can continue to become fans. So it's something where very organic. And yeah, just very community driven. So Country Central, man, it's gonna be more than just a page. It's gonna be a platform, a brand that can kind of continue no matter where you're at. Yeah. And meeting people where they are, man. Just would love to do like pre-game events. If there's a Trey Lewis show in town, let's have a bar tab, man. Let's have a Country Central collab. We'll
bring some swag out. We'll bring some koozies. That'd be great.
Tell fans to come through.
Yeah, bro, we're coming out to Texas. So Rowdy's in spring. I had a really good time there. We'll talk about that off the mic last time I was out there. But yeah, we'll definitely have to link up. Which of you two is going to move out here first? Because it's going to happen one day.
I mean, we haven't flipped the coin yet.
He should.
It's Miami and Austin, though. Like, those are great cities.
But Austin, and people joke that, or not joke, they say Nashville's already too expensive. Austin is worse.
And it's weird.
So I'm ready.
Oh, I got to ask you about the Chicken Man. You ever seen the Chicken Man? Naked dude that walks around with the chicken on the shoulder in Austin.
There's a lot of
the Rooster Man. Yeah, there are a lot. They say
there's a guy in Austin with the freaking like American flag underwear that's always on 6th Street.
Yeah, they say keep Austin weird, and it's like I don't know how it's so weird already. Like I think they can get away from the weird a little bit. But we had a dude with this naked dude. Apparently he's the Rooster Man. And he is like all unshaved, long beard, like just looks like a crazy homeless dude. Yeah. Rooster on his shoulder came up, peed literally on the side of our bus when we played in Austin. He just peed on the side of the bus.
Sounds like a perfect brand representative. That
on the topic of that question, though, I mean, they argue that Austin's the music city capital of the world, and I don't believe it. I think it's Nashville. Yeah. So with that, I believe I would move first because Texas to me, it's not the capital.
Yeah, you ready? You ready to get it?
He's gonna kick me out. He's gonna be like, Josh, you're not here. It's like, what do you mean, bro? I have all the passwords. Like, how you gonna kick me out?
I'm the admin.
Josh, we're gonna have to kick you out. I get kicked out of my own group chat. Like,
Hell yeah! Well, where can guys find you on the personal page and plug any of all the Country Central platforms?
So I mean, obviously, we all know Country Central at Instagram.
you can just go to countrycentral.com where all of our links are.
Oh, sick.
So we do own the domain. So as the website is still being built, you can go to countrycentral.com. You'll find everything from our new music playlists, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere on all that. So countrycentral.com. You just go there. It'll be the redirect. And
for me, it's just at the Benji Chord. And you can just find me obviously on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But yeah, man, just trying to show people that every kind of person can be a country fan. Everywhere around the country, everyone loves it. And it's having a moment right now. So I'm super excited to, work with him, be able to meet a lot of awesome people here in Nashville and just keep repping for, in my opinion, is like the best genre, best space to be creating right now, man.
Hell yeah, that's what it's all about.
Thanks for having us, bro.
I appreciate you boys coming on. Y'all be sure to check out Country Central. Thank you to Josh and Ben for hanging out with us. Also be sure to check out the sponsors. We got MRL Music Group, Whaletale Media, Saxman Studios, and of course our boy Mitch Wallace with the Digital Marketing Agency. This has been the In the Round Podcast. We'll see y'all next time.